Okay, then they get to the point in time where they say, well, we will simply demonetize gold and silver so that you can't make a run on the bank. Let me give you a little story that'll help.
Yeah, that was my question, because it says you can go here and exchange this for, let's see, where did it say?
Okay, but see here, now see, I switched on you,
Oh,
just like they switched on you. I switched the bills on you.
Yeah, because that one doesn't have none.
That's right. See, this one said that you could go and it was payable in $1 in silver on demand, or $10 in gold on demand. But see, they switched that. And now they says, these are the bills that they started with at the Federal Reserve came in. And now it says on its face, the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, Minnesota will pay to the bearer on demand $1. But it no longer tells you a dollar what, does it?
That's right.
But it does say Federal Reserve Bank note, doesn't it? And a note is an evidence of debt, isn't it?
Exactly.
And in fact, on top of it, it says secured by United States Certificate of Indebtedness.
Wow.
Now that brings me to another letter that I got from the Treasury. Let's turn over a little bit. And I wrote a letter to the Treasury, and I said, see, I understood, a guy sent me a letter one time, and he said that it cost the Treasury 1 penny to make this bill. It took them 1 penny to make this $10 bill, or 1 penny to make a $100 bill. Well, boy, that sounded good to me. So what I did is I sent him a letter, and I said, dear sirs, please find enclosed a $1 bill, or 100 cents. With this, I wish to purchase 100 $100 bills. I understand this is the price you charge the Federal Reserve banks to print them for their use. And if I must remind you, if you don't honor this and continue to sell only to the Federal Reserve banks, then I will seek legal action for violation of the antitrust laws. We're not supposed to have any monopolies in this nation, are we?
Correct.
So if they can sell that way to the Federal Reserve banks, somebody else should be able to buy them that way, shouldn't they? So they wrote back and they said, dear Mr. Dale, this is in response to your letter about the Bureau of Printing and Engraving produces the nation's paper currency and sells to the Federal Reserve System for $20.60 per thousand notes. In other words, 2.6 cents. The notes, however, are not money until they are monetized and issued by a Federal Reserve bank. So I wrote back and I said, well, how do you monetize this? I don't understand. Do you sprinkle holy water on them or something? When are you going to have your next monetizing ceremony? Can I come watch? They wouldn't answer that one.
They didn't answer it at all?
No.
They did not respond?
No, not respond at all. Okay, so but then they went on in this letter and said that to obtain notes, a Federal Reserve Bank must pledge collateral equal to the face value of the note, and collateral must consist of the following assets, alone or in combination: gold certificates, special drawing rights certificates, United States government securities, and eligible papers described by statute. And that's exactly what this bill on says, secured by United States Certificate of Indebtedness. And so they have to put up collateral. And later on, by doing some more research and writing to them and getting some more information, they actually monetize it when they loan it into circulation. When you go to the bank and borrow it, they then create the money and put it into circulation. In fact, if we go back to this letter, it says here, the first one I got from them, it says that the Fed has several ways of allowing money to be created, but the actual creation of money always involves the extension of credit by private commercial banks.
That's incredible.
And that's how they get every dollar that we have into circulation. Whether it's a coin, or whether it's a bill, or whether it's checkbook money, it does not exist until someone goes to the bank and takes out a loan, and they create that on the books of the bank. Now they do that by actually, and I had this given to me by a banker, and they show exactly how they do that. Because when you go into the bank and you sign a promissory note,
just exactly how do they do that?
Okay, when you go into the bank and you sign a promissory note, you make out a financial statement, don't you? And then when you agree how much money you're going to borrow, you sign your name on the bottom line and promise to pay, don't you? Then the banker takes and goes into his bookkeeping system and he makes a debit to your loan account for $10,000 and he makes a credit to your checking account for $10,000, and with those two entries he creates the money that you borrow. And that came, this is the banker did this for me. And this again is what the letters from the Treasury says.
Mm-hmm.
This is what all the documents from the Federal Reserve Bank say if you want to go get them. And you can get them. In fact, I happen to have one right here you might find interesting. We have here the story of money by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. And you could obtain this free of charge by just sending to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, Public Information Department, 33 Liberty Street, New York, New York, 145. Now, if you'll open this up, it'll show you in exact cartoon form how the banks create money. And I'll just give you a little, maybe you just want to read that.
This part right here?
Yeah, just read, start right here, and then start there, and start reading right here, and go down to the bottom of the page, and it'll explain it right from their own literature how they do it.
Commercial banks, however, lend a different way. They create new checkbook dollars and add them to the borrower's checking account. Because commercial banks create almost all new dollars, they play a special role in our financial system. Because of the fractional reserve system, banks as a whole can expand our money supply several times by making loans and investments.
Now, just going down to the bottom of the page. Now.
Okay, suppose, let me see here. Suppose West Bank, with deposits of on $1,000, keep a reserve of 15% or $150. It is the difference, $850 to lend. When West Side lends Jake the plumber $850, the funds are put into a new or existing checking account for Jake. West Side takes Jake's promise to repay the loan and creates a demand deposit, money he will spend by writing checks. Jake writes a check for $850 to Slick Used Truck Company, which puts Jake's check in its checking account at Eastside Bank. Eastside gains $850 in deposits and holds a reserve of 15% or $127.50, leaving $622.50 to lend to Helen's Beauty Spa. That's what okay. As the process continues, the borrower's funds end up in different banks. The original $1,000 deposit can expand to more than $6,000.
That's right. That's how money is created in our banking system.
Whoa.
I'll give you a real illustration so you can grasp how this whole thing fits together.
Mm-hmm.
After I had begun to understand this, I had a unique little thing happen to me. A young fella come in one day and he said, you know, I've been going by your place on the way to work and I noticed you got a big, beautiful black horse. You know, and I've always wanted them. I was raised on a farm, but I've got two small problems. I can only ride him at 8 o'clock in the morning before I go to work, and I don't have any place to keep a horse. That's the reason I don't have one. And I said, well, young fella, I believe that you and I could work out a deal. And so I did. I sold him my horse. I charged him just a small fee to keep it for him, and I charged him a small fee to have it all saddled up and waiting for him every morning. You know, and that worked like a charm. He was happy and I was happy. You know, it wasn't too long, another guy had come along. But you know, he had a small problem. He could only ride at 10 o'clock in the morning, and he didn't have any place to keep a horse. So I said, I think we can solve that problem. So I sold him my horse, just charged him a small fee for keeping it, a small fee for saddling up every morning. And you know, I did that 6 times. And everybody was happy. I was happy as a lark. I mean, I got paid for that horse 6 times. I got paid for feeding that horse 6 times, and I got paid to saddle that horse up 6 times. I only had to feed one horse and saddle him once in the morning, then saddle him once at night. And everybody thought it was great. Until one day, them guys did the most unagreeable thing you'd ever believe. They went to the pub one Saturday night and got drinking a little beer. You know how it is. You get a couple of beers in and you kind of feel good, and you get to boasting a little. And one guy said, you know, I'll bet you I got the fastest horse in the country. And the other guy said, well, you know, I don't think so. Well, golly, my horse is pretty fast. So they had a couple of more beers, and you know, the guy said, well, you know, I'll just bet my horse can outrun you guys' horses.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what they did? They after a couple more beers, by golly, they decided out to come out Sunday afternoon and have a horse race. You know what I did Sunday afternoon? Well, you know, I used to think I'd leave town.
Uh-huh.
And see, that's what the bankers used to do. When the people got wise that they were loaning out more money than they had, they'd be a run on the banks.
Mm-hmm.
But see, when they got the Federal Reserve System in there and they began to do that,